Hi, everyone. Welcome to DXB Crypto. I have an unbelievable guest back again, a friend of the channel, Mr. Clifford Mapp, aka the Big Yeti, aka Dynex's global head of business development. I'm super excited to have you, my friend, and a fellow Gooner, an Arsenal fan. So,
Yep.
We've just had an amazing VIP session. I think we've got a packed show for the audience. We did promise them. Actually, you promised them a few days ago that you were gonna give away some Dynex tokens. So make sure, you guys, you stick for that. We are gonna jump straight into it because I know we've been basically in the Discord for the last 2 hours and having great fun with the DXB community. And we want to extend that love to everybody. So very warm welcome again, my friend.
Thank you. No,
How are you, sir?
It's been a fun last 2 hours. Like we've been getting deep into the weeds of what Dynex is all about. So yeah, it's been good fun.
Fantastic. No, it's such a pleasure to have you. And I think I'm going to start off because a lot of people, maybe, of course, for the wider audience, for the YouTube family, I want to start off with an incredible stat. So just a couple of things. One, the recent price performance of Dynex. I think the last 7 days, Dynex is up 57%. And you know what's going on in the market. So that's one. Market cap is up nearly 10%. The volume is up 23%. So there's a lot of buying pressure now starting to build. And yeah, even if you look at today, where the streets are full of blood, Dynex is up 10% and 23% in terms of volume. Now, what do you think the sudden turnaround of action? Well, what's causing this buy pressure?
Well, I mean, we announced two really big bits of news. One is quantum NLP. So what does that stand for? It's natural language processing, and that's just one part of what we're going to be finally compiling, which will be Dynex LLM. And that, along with today, we also announced that part 2 of that is effectively done. There's our quantum specialist there. Look, Sam, his name is. He's an absolute wizard. Man has some of the biggest brains I've ever met in the industry. That's saying a lot. But yeah, we finally got him to sign on the dotted line. It's been 6 months of backwards and forwards with him to try and convince him to say yes, he will actually join full time. But yeah, he's been pretty much part time since, before I got with Dynex last year. He was helping. So
fantastic. Yeah. So going back to Sam and actually the growth of the team, could you tell us how many additions you're making in terms of and what the split is? Developers
we added another 2 in the last week. Sam's been announced. Another one will be announced probably Monday. By the name of Dan. He's actually a very much crypto specialist when it comes to business solutions. So we realized that we were a little light on specific crypto heavy sales guys. So Dan comes with 10 years of working in the finance sector, so he knows how to sell a product. And yeah, quantum NLP is just when I first joined Dynex, NLP or LLM, as most people will understand it, was a really big ask on a quantum stage, right? There's so many variables and very unique problems when you're trying to do that in the quantum space. But Sam, again, just his brain works on another level, right? Like I couldn't even get my head around it. He had to spend a good hour with me just explaining what this is. Like I understood that it was next level, but like when he showed me some of like the language processing, so the showcase we showed off was he told it to go scan the Dynex website. he then asked who's the head of the ecosystem, and it immediately pulled out me. 0 wait time, none, like absolutely
Instant.
none, just
Wow.
instant. And that's just one part of an LLM, right? An LLM is so much more than just the conversational side, right? There's thinking and understanding. There's what they call transformers, right, which are basically these super complex algorithms that understand what type of question you're asking, and therefore can pull out the appropriate answer, right, or run the appropriate extra code step to give out that answer. And as you can see there, there's some, I mean, that's not fully benchmarked. We will be once it's fully complete, we'll benchmark across all platforms, but we've got a feeling that it is going to be a hell of a lot cheaper for one, right, on a per seat basis. But the training time is where we're going to see massive uplift. Training data sets on Dynex is like fractions of a second compared to traditional. So I would guess a lot of our price discovery recently has probably been because of the big news that we've been pushing out, and the fact that obviously we're starting to get out to more events. We're actually, I dropped it in the VIP chat earlier about some of the events we're obviously booked to go, and some interesting stuff that's due up in the next week. That's going to be a really, really fun one, to be fair. Brilliant. So I'm looking forward to that.
Fantastic. I mean, look, first of all, congratulations, because the chart looks absolutely incredible. And as we say, you know, numbers don't lie, right? Sure. Numbers don't absolutely lie. You've got a project that's almost fully diluted, that is hiring people. I believe the headcount now is up to 40.
Nearly, yeah, it'd be about 40 now.
Brilliant.
So it's a fair number.
It's a lot of people, and you know, I love the fact that you've obviously hired more crypto minds in terms of actually pushing the project out there. It's something that's quite interesting to the community, and I'm sure a lot of people don't actually know this. In the last 2 hours, you and I were talking. I've noticed the kind of additional like fluctuation of these numbers.
Yep.
People don't actually know you've got 126,000 GPUs.
It is crazy when you see it as a number like that. It never ceases to put a smile on my face when I see that number. And like I say, last year we had almost 3 times that on the network. So we were at nearly 500,000 GPUs at one point last year. For any of the proof of work guys out there, they all know probably Hive OS. It's a very popular mining management software. We had over 20% of their entire network on Dynex in July. It was pretty impressive to see, and the network was stable. So that's always a good thing, right? Like that shows that we've got room to grow. We've since done a lot of refinement since then. So where we had a few hiccups, when we had that high level of number of GPUs on the network, these days we wouldn't have any of those problems. We've got all those ironed out now.
Brilliant. I mean, this has a retail value of nearly $28 million. That's a lot of.
That's
GPUs.
Based on what the prices are at like now. So you can see there like a 1660 Super, $100. That's pretty much if you could buy one really in good quality. You can buy them a little bit cheaper than that, but if you bought them at retail going price right now, yeah, it'd be nearly 28 million in hardware.
So that's insane, because one of the questions I have for you was I see a lot of, I mean, first of all, a lot of the retail don't actually understand the distribution cost of these GPUs. So if a project claims right now that they have 500 or 1,000 GPUs, people actually think just the fact that it has GPU into the name, that's quite respectable. Could you just explain the power required for things like rendering
So
supercomputing?
if you scroll to the right a little bit, next to the total VRAM is actually the total energy consumption, right? So based on what the TDP of every card is. Now, obviously cards, or at least a lot of miners, won't run their cards ball to the wall, right? They underclock them, they undervolt them. So that would be a rough estimate based on TDP, right? Total energy consumption is probably the wrong word. It's probably total energy TDP is probably the more accurate term. But if you pump that into any sort of power calculator and go and look up what 20 megawatts continuous is going to cost you, you'd be talking, it would be thousands a day, thousands a day. Right. And that's if if you were putting in a data center, you're going to get even a decent rate, right? You might be down at like 5 cents a kilowatt. That's still going to be an obscene amount of money every month for a bill. So you can only imagine what some of these companies that run big supercomputers, right, that are pulling much more wattage than we are, by the way. I think the largest supercomputer pulls something like 65, 70 megawatts of power. It's an entire facility, right?
Wow.
They probably spend 20 grand a month just in power. Never mind their staff overheads or the building overheads. It's just the power. Like, it's just crazy. So by building out our network in this way, we can have something pretty amazing for very little in the way of overhead cost to the company in that way, right? We still have to pay our miners who are supplying those cards. That's where the Dynex coin comes into its own, right? But equally so, we know that, by doing it the way we're doing it, it's energy efficient. It's like super energy efficient. Dynex as a mining coin, one of the lightest weight coins you'll mine. I believe only Casper is effectively lower end. And all of the Casper forks would be obviously along those lines. But if they've changed to Blake 3, then they're about the same power consumption, technically. So like a Coulson hash or a Xylus or a Pirin, they're all using a Blake 3 algo on top of what Casper did so that they can take ASICs off their network. Obviously, we now know that FPGAs can mine them, but at least the ASICs can't for the moment. But basically, you think that just the costs, like you go to a big company and you turn around and go, I can save you 10 megawatts a day of power. They'll rip your arm off.
Right.
In most regards, right? When we spoke to a few big companies, right? We spoke to one of the largest compute users on AWS recently. I had a meeting with them.
Right.
They spend $35,000 an hour.
Wow.
An hour. Yeah.
That's insane. Insane
when we
numbers.
turned around and said, our largest package is $69,000. They went, what, an hour? I went, no, a month. They went, what do you mean a month? We work in hours. I was like, well, 24/7 for an entire month. How does that work? And the guy was ready to rip my arm off, like literally rip my arm off.
And this is what we're talking about in terms of the Dynex. Can you explain the difference between, for example, the org side of the business and the company?
Yeah. So we obviously have two divisions inside of Dynex, and we've done this so that we can market it separately, effectively, right? So dynexcoin.org is our blockchain and crypto side of the business. And then we have dynex.co, which is all our enterprise side of the business, right? They fundamentally still go to the same system for when you register with the marketplace. But the idea is that we can market the crypto side to the crypto blockchain enthusiasts and companies that want to use blockchain. And then we've got dedicated, this is just an enterprise level solution. We talk to the enterprise guys about just business. There's no talk of blockchain. If they ask how we're doing it, it's a distributed network. Basically, it's a distributed network. So it's definitely an interesting one, right? Like, how do you sell? It depends on really the type of client you're talking to. So I was talking to another blockchain company. We weren't talking about Dynex.co. We were talking about dynexcoin.org, because that's where they've come from. But like recently, I spoke to someone in the automotive industry, and this site didn't even come up. I didn't even mention this. There's no need, because that's what the enterprise side of the business is there for, to be able to refine that. And obviously now we've got our fiat on ramp as well. We technically don't even need to talk to the client about how we're doing it, just as long as we can. You know, some of the clients that we talk to, they don't really care how it works, just as long as it does. Where, don't get me wrong, there are some clients who have been absolutely blown away by actually learning and understanding how we've done it, right? And understanding that blockchain isn't just all about crypto. There's actually business models that can be wrapped into blockchain. So yeah, that's something that I've been, you know, enjoying.
That's fantastic. So listen, you had an amazing week, and I think you know, those projects, in my opinion, that come out really strongly from a dip tend to do well in the bull market. And at $63 million, I think it's still a very small market cap to where it could go. But I want to pose a question to you, and I'll take questions from the audience in a minute.
Sure.
I want to talk about supercomputing and how you see some of the what we perceive. I mean, on the outside, because you've got the privilege of looking at the industry from both the inside and the outside. Perhaps we look at it from the outside a lot more.
Yeah,
I've compiled a list of competitors for Dynex, or according to what the word on the street is, right?
Sure.
And I'm going to share this list with you. I want you to give us your thoughts on what separates these supercomputing projects, and of course where Dynex fits in, because you have a massive aspect of AI within your setup. You've got over nearly 200,000 GPUs. So what I've done, and I'll post these to you. So we have Tau, we have ZK, Polyhedra, of course Dynex, we have Cubic based AI, and CAM platform, or ConX, who often people actually sometimes confuse that they are the quantum computing side of things. So I want you to break this down for us, and how we could, as retail investors, actually play this supercomputing narrative.
Sure. I mean, so supercomputing and DePIN pretty much go hand in hand, right? We've seen that a lot. There's very few in the supercomputing area that is solely all about supercomputing. There's obviously Dynex. There's I mean, even BitTensor to a certain degree isn't, right? There's so much more that you can do with BitTensor with their subnets. And I've really only scratched the surface of BitTensor, to be quite honest. There's some quite high level tech that you've got to go through to get your head around it. It's a bit like Dynex in that regard, right? It's a bit of a learning curve. Cubic's another one that's been popping off recently. A lot of information and things coming out their side. They're trying to do pretty much like a decentralized AGI rather than just decentralized AI. Interesting. Will they manage to do it with the compute they've got? Not quite sure yet. Still plenty to be seen from that project. It's still fairly new, so I like to give projects at least 12 months to try and, if they're trying to build something actually usable, right? You got to give them at least some time to build out their platform. Like, nobody gives the time that Bitcoin got anymore, right? Bitcoin got like 6 or 7 years before anyone started picking it up. Now you're lucky if you got 6 months. So I mean, it would be nice for some of these to get a little bit of time to get their platform up and running. But then we've seen other projects that have promised quite a lot, said that it'd be done by the end of the year, and then failed miserably and not delivered, right? And they're still trying to deliver it to this day. We're, you know, there's quite a few of those trying to pull out elements of that from so to try and work out where the cream rises, right? Like very difficult these days because every other company has AI attached to their name, right? Yet they don't do a thing of AI. They don't do any AI. They just have the word AI because they put it in their white paper somewhere in one sentence that they might look into it down the road. But realistically, like we were discussing this for the VIPs, right? Is that there's potential there that, or at least I see it as potential that there shouldn't just be one de facto supercomputing project that does well. There should actually be quite a few. It's a big enough market to deal with, right? It's a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise is supercomputing and compute in general, right? It's trillions of dollars a year that it'll get up to eventually. I think 2030 they said. By 2030 it'll be $1 trillion enterprise, right? It's compute,
right.
So there should be plenty of room for all of us to make good on that, right? But some of these are going to take a little bit of time to get your head around the project, to understand the technology and terms. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to stay hanging around in your Discord as well for your VIPs and stuff and your subscribers, so that if they've got questions that they can't understand or anything like that, they can drop me a line and I'll happily answer. Fantastic. That two-way communication is super key to being able to onboard people to new technology.
Well, this is you make a brilliant point, and I want to actually let the wider YouTube family know, based on your interactions with our VIPs, being a friend of the channel now, you've been here 2 times, 3 times with VIP. What separates, in my opinion, a lot of these projects, and we've had an issue this week with, for example, Blender, which you know very well, Blender, the DePIN project. We had an issue with OPSEC in the past in terms of FUD. But here we have a crypto leader who is participating at grassroots level and teaching people, and at the same time, somebody who's able to go to NASDAQ and talk about quantum computing. So I want you to know that we really do appreciate that. And
I don't mind, honestly. I enjoy it. Like I said to you before we even came on air, right? Like I enjoy explaining what Dynex is. I enjoy showcasing what Dynex does, because there's so much it could do, and still we haven't even scratched the surface.
Well,
here's
an interesting fact. So the entire week, you've got the top projects in supercomputing, according to this list. And you can see here, you're up 56% for the week.
Yep.
56% for the week. So, and there's some giants in there, the likes of Polyhedra and Bitensa Tau. I mean, these have infinite funding. So that is one thing. But I wanted to ask you, about this event. I know you've got a busy schedule. I know the prices are performing now. There's a lot more traction. Dynex is getting the rightful coverage that it deserves, and largely because of your hard work. Before I take questions from these guys, talk us to let us know the importance of this event and your next 6 months. What does it look like?
My next 6 months, busy, very busy. So on top of obviously doing YouTube interviews and sit down conversations, I do obviously proper TV interviews, proper sit down on a stage type interviews. So in January, I obviously flew out to the New York Stock Exchange, which is the NASDAQ, for a chat with Bloomberg about the tech. They got so deep into the weeds that the almost 60-minute conversation over 2 interviews wasn't enough. So they've actually invited us back. So I actually dropped that information obviously to your VIPs that when we're going back, they are very keen to have us back. So
Brilliant.
that's something else. More events. So there's quite a few mining proof of work conferences coming up soon. One that's at the end of this month is Mining Disrupt. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get ourselves out to that. There's also some other blockchain only type events like London Blockchain that we just went to. I was recently on the stage with CoinGeek. Had a sit down with their crew as well. That was pretty weird because it was all sponsored by BSV. We were the only layer one that, apart from BSV themselves, who were at the event. So that kind of put the cat amongst pigeons, so to speak. Because yeah, that was kind of really weird. Just with BSV basically sponsoring the event, everyone there was all about BSV. So it was hard going, but I got a lot of contacts out of that meeting, that event, more than I would have expected to, actually. So yeah, interesting conversations. I spoke to a couple of VCs. I spoke to a number of like little projects who are very keen on AI. I spoke to the BSV crew as well, and had a nearly an hour long sit down conversation with them. That was kind of weird as well. Like, just wasn't expecting to get an hour of their time, sort of thing. But yeah, it was interesting. Brilliant. But I see there's some questions coming through thick and fast on the old chat.
Yes, absolutely. Let's take them away.
So you put one up on the screen. Any info or future plans on proof of holding for Dynex? So DHIP, Dynex Holders Incentive Program. So basically, if you hold Dynex, you can register a proof of balance file on record with DHIP, and every month you will get a proportional share of 10% of the revenues that Dynex generates from the marketplace. So originally it used to be a 70-30 split. 70% went to miners, 30% went to Dynex. We've since split that out, so it's now 18% to Dynex, 2% to our foundation for future projects with other companies or researchers that don't have that kind of money to pay for their own compute. And then obviously 10% to Dynex Holders Incentive Program. So yeah, as we scale up and we start making more and more money, that 10% proportional split could be worth some decent extra money to everyone. For all you got to do is leave your funds in your wallet. You don't have to stake them. You just have to register a proof of balance file, which is available in our core wallet and also our web wallet, and also our hardware wallet's being integrated with DHIP as well. So OneKey has been nice enough to actually provide us a solution built into their hardware wallets. So you'll be able to actually register your hardware wallets for it as well. So even better, so cold storage, and you can actually earn money on that cold storage for not touching it. I mean, that's the purest definition of cold storage. It's making you money while it's in cold storage as well. So it's a win-win.
Brilliant. You've got another one here. Explain mining rewards.
Yeah, sure. So I guess you're talking from a proof of work concept, right? So your mining rewards, right? So you put your graphics cards on our network. We do a hybrid proof of work, proof of useful work, which is what we dub for our machine learning and processing side of it. But they're two entangled systems. One can't work without the other. So you can't do, just mining AI stuff, for example. It won't work. You can't just do proof of work. It won't work. It has to be both. So when you register on our network for doing proof of work, it's all taken care of for you. What you do is everyone gets their rewards through pool mining. You can solo mine, but realistically, with how many GPUs are on the network these days, it's a little bit probably too much for a small farm to do solo mining. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting one. It's certainly an interesting one at the moment. Like, the rewards are obviously, so we're on an emission curve. So as our tokens roll out, obviously the diluted goes up, but also the daily emissions goes down, which is why all of our compute side of things get pushed back into the block rewards. So we'll effectively top back up our own blocks with compute rewards. So eventually we'll get back to where we started, which is, I think, 450 Dynex a block. And then hopefully we want to see it where we're actually doing so much compute that the block sizes are like 1,000 Dynex a block. So, because then everyone's a winner, right? Because you just sit on there with a couple of GPUs and you're still going to be making $20 or $30 a day at that point. That's when we could start seeing really like heavy onboarding. Because when we start, you know, if our network gets to the point where everyone's making $20, $30 a day, everyone's going to be turning on their stuff to us. It won't matter if there's a new coin out there. We'll be too profitable for them to even consider it. Or they might jump off, do a little bit of spec mining, and then be straight back to us again. But yeah, yeah.
I had to.
Oh, I know who that is. That's David Decor. That's our head of support. That's our head of support. So that's another Dynex employee. Yeah,
I thought you took the day off.
Nice guy. Yep. Yeah, I said to him this morning, I'm like, dude, I'm beat up. I'm taking the day off. And then you were just like, yeah, come on, look, we're gonna do this. I was like, hell yeah, let's go and do this.
And by the way, guys, you know, let's just hold it up because this is sponsored by Arsenal. I've got another one here, which is
that's a really good one. So technically, we're no longer kryptonite. We're still a base of kryptonite, but DynexSolve is so much more now. Now we've pushed what we called our MALOB, our job distribution system, into the Stratum process. Technically, we're not kryptonite anymore from a proof of work side of things. The hashing algorithm, yes, is still partially kryptonite. But there's actually more in there now. So it's why you can't use something like an ASIC, for example, on our network, because the hashing algorithms change so much that the ASIC wouldn't understand it. But yeah, you can see a few of our pools there. That my pool's on there as well. I run a pool in my spare time. Deep Miners is mine.
No, okay.
So middle row, right hand side. There you go. That's mine. So, like, not content with, you know, having enough on my plate, I run, you know, a pool on top of it, right? So,
listen, I think you are the definition of quantum computer, my friend. An actual quantum computer. When you go back to Bloomberg, I had an interesting chat with you, and I think one of the things I was excited about was the fact that you could actually be presenting something there. You want to talk about that, or you want to?
So we released 2 examples last couple of days. One of quantum NLP, or natural language processing, and today we released the first of the transformers that will allow LLM to be powered truly by quantum. This is something that quite honestly, I didn't expect so quick. Sam really has pulled out all the stops once again. I think he's, you know, the whole team just works like crazy, right? The development curve of Dynex, right? And I've worked for a lot of companies over the years doing development, right? I was a contractor developer, right? So I bounced around many different jobs and different contract types. And quite honestly, I've yet to actually come across a company that works that that rapid. I know there are companies out there that do this, but the rate of development is just on a level that I was not anticipating. Like, I thought that they were working hard, but when I got the chance to join them officially and see truly what they're doing, like, gave me an even greater appreciation for what those guys do on a daily basis. Like, I mean, I'm lucky if I sleep more than 4 hours a day, right? I've always been like that since I was, 20, and I'm now nearly 40. So,
probably watching EastEnders.
No.
Okay.
But like, I've done that for nearly 20 years, but the guys over there, they work just as many hours as me. Like, it's very, very unusual to see a team that large, right? Nearly 50 staff, to be working at that pace, right? That pace is relentless. And it's kudos to the team, right? A lot of teams, they'll blast that kind of development curve for like 3-4 months, and then they'll ease back for a couple of months because they're borderline burning their staff out. But quite honestly, like, all the team are happy to do that kind of work. They just want to see the project succeed.
Right. So I wanted to take him back to the team. Obviously, Davies in the building, shouting out the Arsenal gang, which is much appreciated. But I want to go back to your schedule again. I always say to the community, go to the X pages of projects and you will see who's doing what. It's very easy to spot. And it was interesting listening to your take on how projects communicate with investors, practically shareholders. So think of communities as shareholders. Where do you think? I mean, there's some pretty good stuff happening. Should we expect some updates coming soon in terms of partnerships?
Oh yeah. We've
stuff.
actually so not only have we got some new partnerships coming, probably I would say we'll know at least one of those by the end of this month, if not sooner. Obviously, we already announced the partnership with Optaspace and Etica. We have a few more coming, but we've also got some big testimonials coming as well that we're working on with some quite large companies that should, drop very soon. Well, I say soon, but soon is relative when it comes to traditional business, right? Like, we all want them to work at the speed of crypto. Unfortunately, traditional business, they like to take months instead of days. But they have assured us that at the moment they feel comfortable with the solution, and that they feel comfortable putting their reputation behind it. They are going to come out and give a full report on how their experience with Dynex was. And that's going to be an experience report on not just the technology, but how the staff interacted with them, how the onboarding process was, how the speed of the network was, how reliable was it, how efficient was it, how much money did it save them in that very short trial run, right? Once we get all that kind of information from a few big clients, it's definitely going to open people's eyes. Because when you've got, say, oh, God forbid, Apple turned up and gave us a glowing report, right? Now, Apple, they're working on their own AI stuff. They're never going to come to Dynex in that regard. They'd rather spend the $100 billion it'll cost them to build their own. But say they come out and give you a glowing reference, right, as a business. That kind of recommendation from that kind of company adds a lot of weight, like, right behind it, like,
right,
quite. And that's not relative to whether or not the reference was good or bad. It's just the fact that that company has actually bothered to investigate your service, right? So we've got quite a few trials ongoing at the moment. Not all of those will go through. Some will say, no, thank you. It's not for us. It didn't work the way we're expecting it to. And then there'll be others that go, can I have some more, please? I want to see more. I want to do more. I want to be able to run more. Can you sit down with me and give me a bit more of an overview? And Davey be the first to do this, because he's been in meetings with me as well. Davey will back this 100%. Like, we spend a lot of time with customers, like all the time. Like, pretty much, you know, my schedule's booked most of the week, every week. And that's just recurring meetings as well with, like, so for example, I've met with one group of people, right? They're all quantum physicists. They all are really keen on wanting to trial it and have a play around, but then they get stuck, right? Because they're used to traditional side compute instead of quantum. Now, of course, they're quantum physicists, so as soon as I gave them a little bit of a nudge in the right direction, it was nice and easy. But that's just an easy example, right? Now you go to a company that doesn't have that kind of understanding. Now it might take 3 months for us to get them onboarded, but they still want to work with us and still want to do that, because we actually do the to and fro with them all the time. So, see, now that's a great question. That is a brilliant question. So, actually, this is perfect. That is exactly what I was hoping you'd put on the screen. So, how can the average person use a quantum computer with their projects compared to ChatGPT? Right. So, first off, ChatGPT and the way it computes is going to be very different than the way that Dynex will compute it, right? Quantum NLP is just one part of the whole, right? ChatGPT is considered the whole, but it's very much multiple different modules all running inside of one container. And Dynex will be no different, right? But we finally made the breakthrough with 2 steps of, I would say, probably 5 important steps and 2 extra steps that we want to add ourselves, for a total of 7 steps. So we're 2 out of 7 steps into building our own version of Dynex GPT. Oh, look, there's me dropping a name again without warning. I'm going to get into so much trouble.
Just 2 steps. It's not 5.
I mean, Davey already claims I'm leaky enough as it is, so I suppose I'm only keeping up with tradition. You know,
well, the prices are reflecting it. So you know, at the end of the day, I think to be up in such a market by 28%, you know, I don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. The numbers are there. But there's tons and tons of other questions. Let me.
Sure. No, absolutely. Go for it.
Chance anymore? Davy's on it.
Davy's on it. Oh, it's all right. I'm sure I'll have the boss in a minute piping up on the WhatsApp to me going, "What are you leaking now? What have you told people about?"
No, it's listen, overall, I think again, you know, I always go back to the charts, and I always say to people, look, whenever we have a difficult climate, you know, crypto goes up and goes down, it's natural. But when we have a sell-off or market manipulation, you got to look at those that bounce back the fastest. And there's an interesting take that I have here, and a question. I guess from these supercomputing projects and AI projects, who would you consider as your closest rival? And in particular, what do you think of their version of quantum? Because again, you know, I just want so this is more about quantum resistant.
So that's a quantum resistant network. Actually, I had a recent meeting with us, Bitmain, an NFT company, and this quantum resistant network, or no, they're called the quantum resistant ledger. And by the end of the conversation, they were already messaging me saying, we need to have a chat. I've got a feeling that they're going to ask us to test the theory of whether they're quantum resistant or not. Not quite what I ever thought I'd be using Dynex for, but if they ask us to, that's very different, right? They're coming to us. They want to, you know, they wanted to test the theory. I'm all for it. It'll be interesting, right, to see how far their quantum resistance actually is. And that's not a bad use case for Dynex, right? Testing other blockchains, so-called quantum resistance or quantum strategy, right? A lot of businesses these days have quantum strategies because they know that quantum's coming, so they might as well be prepared now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, without so in this list, again, being probably the best performers, we are guilty at looking at pricing at retail level, which is sometimes what I love about Dynex, because you're educating us onto that possibility. And I always say to the group, crypto is about playing a multi-cycle game. Crypto is about learning and knowing what's going to blow off. And I think it was very interesting to go back to your early mining days, mining Ethereum to the last day. You know, that's all amazing. And I think that's the kind of advice we need. But looking at these projects, I can honestly say the GPU element for you guys changes a lot of the game. It's just because of the number of GPUs currently actively online. So quantum resistant, quantum computing, and then ZK. Where do you think this, I mean, like you said, there's always going to be space for this, but where do you think this supercomputing narrative going? I mean, your market cap right now is 61 million, almost fully diluted. I would say what retail looks for is tokenomics like that. You've got over 80% of the tokens out, right?
Yeah.
So looking at Tau and the fact that Tau obviously now sits at 2.5 billion, what future? And I know, you know, in your position, it's difficult to speculate on price. I'm just seeing.
But I always I'm very open about it, right? Like we at Dynex would love to see ours at least bare minimum be $1, right? As bare minimum what it should be. That puts a fully diluted market at 110 million. And I would say that that's truly undervalued for what Dynex brings to the table compared to some of these other companies that say they're doing stuff and they go moon into, you know, $1 billion industry and suddenly there's no actual product behind it. I personally, that's one of the reasons why I really like some of the more niche type compute style companies, right? Like your BitTensor, like your Cubic. I mean, BitTensor, theirs is very unique. Theirs is as unique as ours in that regard with the way that they have built their network. Cubic's trying to do something similar. They're a little way behind, though, in some regards, because they've only just come about in the last sort of 6 months. So they got a little bit, they need a little bit more time to develop and mature as a piece of software and product. But, you know, I look at all these other ones and we were laughing about it, right? Like how many of these so-called ones have AI attached to their name and they don't do a damn thing of AI, even the basic forms of AI like machine learning. They can't do even that much, and yet they still have the ability to stick AI in their name because they might do it down the road. You know, that to me is just not a good fundamental. That's kind of lying about what you're doing, right? Like I know there's in crypto, there's that whole fake it till you make it scenario, right? A lot of people do that. They put out a good white paper and then they effectively slowly but surely drip feed that into their network, right? We did the research before we went blockchain. We did 2 years of research before we even turned on a blockchain. And people said to us that we shouldn't have even been main chain yet because it was too new a tech. But at some point, you got to take the risk and run it on a mainnet to find out where those problems are. I would say, and Davey can probably back me up on this as well, who's in the chat. The network stability now compared to this time last year, it's like one end of the scale and the other. We really ironed out a lot of our problems, and that's in the space of 12 months. We ironed all the problems out.
Brilliant. And I think, look, the overall sentiment for me in that supercomputing list is just having the opportunity. And I love the fact that, you big up other projects that are doing really well. And something that the audience doesn't actually know about yourself is the fact that you audit smart contracts, codes, and that gives you
I see a lot of blockchain tech. I love
absolutely.
it. The technology is still in its infancy, right? So there's still room for mad, crazy things to be built yet that we haven't even conceptually thought about. That's why I love the idea of what Tao's trying, right? In theory, their network should be as malleable as you like, because you build a subnet or you use an existing subnet and you just bend it to your whim. I like that idea. It's very unique. Will they be able to get it exactly how their white paper says? Only time will tell, right? They might hit roadblocks that they need extra resources. They need to get some extra staff in, and suddenly, they see a bit of a lull point of their development, right? While they're trying to figure those things out. And then all of a sudden it takes off again, and you get loads of development all in a short spell of time. We had it ourselves. You make a breakthrough and suddenly everything all just falls into line. And you're seeing that with Dynex at the minute, where just everything is just falling into line at the moment. And I would say that we're on a very good path at the moment. We haven't dropped the ball when it comes to development. Like we do our best to hit our deadlines when we say we're going to hit our deadlines. Now, that's not always possible depending on who what we're talking about. Like, for example, exchange listings. Once you've done the exchange listing process, it's down to then the exchanges when they bring you on. So how long's a piece of string at that point, right?
Absolutely.
Gate.io took 6 months to onboard us.
Is it true that proof of work projects are slightly more difficult to list? I mean, I don't think I've seen the case. There's plenty of listings over here.
I wouldn't say not necessarily, but they do need a little bit more, shall we say, expertise of integrating to them, right? So if it's just an EVM chain, if they've already done one EVM chain, it's really simple to do another EVM chain. Obviously, if you're trying to do a layer one that's really, really unique, like Dynex, we found that they needed a bit of two-way conversation on the onboarding process to get them, integrated. But I would like to see a few more. We definitely want a nice US-enabled exchange.
Brilliant.
Ideally, a top 5 exchange. So that'd be like something like Coinbase, Kraken, Qcoin. I think is still allowed in the US.
Yeah.
So
Kraken is probably a major.
OKX is another one, but I know that Binance US is a bit, should we say, muddied water at the moment. Right. So they're really behind in their listing phases. Although Binance Next, is what listed us recently. That is like Binance's list of like their next listings. And we've been on there for a few months now. So that's pretty cool, but that doesn't guarantee when they list you. That's just to say that you're on their list, basically. When, anyone's guess at the moment. We're trying to push them through, but as we've found with other things, if you push those kind of companies, they just end up pushing back and not talking to you. So yeah.
Well, listen, I'm absolutely fortunate to host you again, my friend, because I think we're having a few funny comments in there, and what triggers people the most is this. I'd like to zoom into this. Price performance is I call it the kryptonite of the haters. And believe me, in crypto, you'll be talking about something to educate people, and people still find negative ways to try and spin that. But all I would say is,
oh, believe me, we've had plenty of plenty of negative thrown at us,
which is okay. I mean, come on, we're Arsenal fans. We're dealing
but to be fair, the way that I look at it is, I like proof of work, right? I'm not a big lover of proof of stake. Don't get me wrong, there's time and a place for it, but proof of work is what started all this off, right? Proof of work is what started it all. Bitcoin is proof of work. It's what fundamentally started the whole craze off in the first place, right? To me, I'll always be a proof of work guy. I'll probably never work for a proof of stake company, just because realistically it doesn't sort of match up with my own views, right? But also I'm not a big ASIC guy. I've always been CPU and GPU, because that's what I grew up doing with Bitcoin, you know, like 10 years ago now. Still can't believe that I've been in Bitcoin 10 years. It's crazy.
There you go. And you're a lifelong gooner. But listen, I know we've been on a marathon, but you have a gift.
Right, man. I've enjoyed it.
You've got something special for the DXB family.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Let's just give out the rules of the game. This is what we should have done in the first one. So, guys, girls, ladies and gents, Cliff has prepared a giveaway of Dynex tokens for the DXB community. If you'd like to participate, the rules are very simple. Hashtag Dynex, off you go. I believe there are a lot of you in the chat, so this one will be competitive, and then we will do the draw and arrange those tokens. So
and I've just sent the other 500 for the for your VIP member who won. So that was G Sammer, I believe it was.
G Sammer, yeah, so, which is fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for doing this, and we're going to keep doing this.
I enjoy doing this kind of thing, right? It's nice to do something for the community.
Absolutely. You know, we call ourselves the unofficial home of Dynex, tiny but mighty community of investors. And hopefully everybody will get their interest in. And in the meantime, yes, it doesn't matter. AKJ, you can enter that 200 times. You will only register one vote.
Oh, there's always one, right?
Copy and paste. Freedom Fighter, hashtag Dynex, right? Because it'd be
I see a few regular names in there now.
Right.
I see
you see the Dynex crew
just turned up as well. So obviously they're all starting to pile in here now.
It's Davey in it, because we've got to disqualify Davey or anybody. We'll let Davey enter, because he did think that you were off today. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got to bribe him not to tell the boss, right, that I'm on live streams.
Yeah, we're doing a night shift down at Heathrow. Brilliant. Yeah. It's been amazing. We've got 14 entries.
I've enjoyed it, man. It's been super fun. Like I say, I don't mind doing this. It's good fun. It's, you know, giving back to the community. We're all about trying to, you know, be more interactive with the communities now. Like, I've been going on a bit of a rampage with different YouTube channels, and, you know, just getting a bit more out there and being more with the community, right? Like answering questions like we did with your VIPs, right? They had some great questions, and they were able to have a bit more intimate setting and be able to know that they could actually ask their questions.
Absolutely. And I think, look, credit to you and the team. Would be happy to have you again. You're part of our Discord VIP group.
Yep.
Anybody wants to join our VIP group, you get to talk to this legend about quantum computing. Please do so. Oh, Davey's in.
Yep.
Brilliant. And Yeah, no, thank you. And I think what's going to separate, for me, what's going to separate Dynex from the competition is the presence of mind, body, and matter. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these teams now are anonymous, and it's funny how investors put their money as much as they can into these teams, and
I mean,
even
don't get me wrong. We were an anonymous team, right? But it was on our roadmap that as soon as we got our legal side sorted out of our company formation, all of our intellectual property and everything like that, our leadership team would be announced. The moment that that was done, we pulled the trigger within literally a week of us all signing our contracts legal with the legal company. So I mean, you know, we were anonymous, and no, you know, we had our thoughts around that at the beginning, right? But once obviously people were getting educated about how crypto is and how the privacy side of teams is that, don't get me wrong, privacy chains are very different, and they're going to about to get a whole different problem set of their own. But you know, we were very much aware that we had to introduce our team to the world, because you know, you can't go around claiming groundbreaking technology if there's nobody there to actually go and talk to, right?
absolutely, bro.
That's fundamentally one of the first and foremost things for us, right? That we make ourselves available to companies, we make ourselves available to community, we get ourselves out to, you know, have interviews, do shows, maybe the odd speaking event. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 6 months. It's gonna be a hell of a ride, to say the least, because if anything, my meetings are only getting more and more busier every day. So, and that's
Like
not
David
bad.
said, you're meant to be off today, and here you are, my friend.
Yep.
So I think we got all the votes in. Naz said Dynex, which is exactly how we wanna do this. When you're ready, I will press the button. Even though we've got more viewers, I think fewer people are putting their names in the hat, which is fine. Any more? I'll give them a few more seconds. Any more takers, guys? Anybody else? Hashtag Dynex. The Pirate. I love the name.
Yes, Pirate. He's actually coming over to visit me at the end of the month. It's going to be an awesome week. We're going to get so drunk. We're going to get so drunk.
Lovely knowledge is in. Beautiful. Sammy's in.
Oh, look, another one of our friends has just turned up. Mr. Rude Puts over there. He's a cracking guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, honestly, man's got some comedic gold, honestly.
Joseph is a Man City fan. And
oh God,
no.
If a Man, hold up a minute. Man City's won too much already. If a Man City fan wins, we re-roll.
You know, I have a feeling. Oh, shout out, by the way, somebody I would love for you to meet one day, and he's in the Discord. This is my brother Muzz. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. He's a fellow Brit. He's in our Discord. Is the man that runs the show, and actually, I actually followed him to Dynex. Would you believe?
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, big up to my bro. Force is in. Rude is in. You got a special greeting from the man himself.
Oh God, all of my friends are turning up now, are they? Oh, right. Typical degens, right? They don't turn up to support me. They turn up because they know that it's time for giveaway.
I'll see how it is.
Yeah, we'll be having words after this call. I'll jump over there and be asking questions.
I think
they'll be laughing in a minute.
We better hurry up with the draw, because I think the team, you know, you might have 40 people coming up. So we've got 23 entries.
Yep.
Rude is just cracking up.
Yep.
Classic DJs. you forgot to drop the link in
Yeah,
the
I did.
Discord.
Yeah. That's because I wasn't expecting to be on live. Don't forget, right? Like you dropped me a message. I was like, yeah, come on, let's go and do it. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, I thought I posted it for the team earlier, but so we give it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Rude's offering a drink, by the way, to Shern. That's the team. All right, I think we've got everybody in. So 3, 2, 1. Let's do this.
Hey, there we go.
Congratulations to Carter 5bots. Absolutely brilliant. Congratulations, my friend. It's done in a fair manner. Not Donald Trump or Joe Biden. This is a proper democracy run by the Big Yeti and the Dynex team. We want to thank you, Carter. Please get in touch. Yeti, how would you want to?
I was just saying to him either via Discord. I'm also on Telegram, Twitter, X. So yeah, Yeti Y3TI Crypto for Telegram and well, actually, it's Telegram, Discord, and X. It's all the same. So yeah, you should be able to find me.
He's not one of yours, is he?
Email me at this address here. So that also works, Yeti at yeti.uk. You can email me at there, and if you give me your wallet address, I'll send over the 500 Dynex to you. And congrats.
Many congratulations, brother. And listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an epic one. And just I want to give you the closing remarks to obviously sum up where you see us going and what to expect from Dynex.
Well, I mean, at the moment, like, keep a lookout for obviously our news feed on X. We tend to put out a lot on X. We also obviously got our own Discord. Yeah, I know, Rude's cracking me up. Sorry. I keep looking at the corner of my eye. I catch another absolute belter of a troll there for me. Oh, dear. He does love getting it on, like, getting me every time. He's the only one I know, right, who can turn up on a YouTube live, right, as 8 different people in the same night. Right, he had us in hysterics on a live stream on my friend Chump Change's live stream. He turned up in a like a call-in session as himself, his uncle, his cousin, estranged cousin, estranged uncle, like hilarious. Just had us in hysterics. But yeah, like, honestly, we put out so much news on a regular basis. There's tons of material. Obviously, we have our own Discord. Links are on our website. Feel free to join us over there. All of you are welcome. And obviously, yeah, like I say, this Quantum NLP is something brand new. It's only just been released. So please feel free to make sure that you keep an eye open for that one, because that's going to be where it obviously takes a big jump. And then I definitely need to sort out you a Dynex book.
Brilliant.
Actually, I can show you. If you just give me 1 second.
No worries. And guys, listen, you know, some of our favorite projects are following this man. So if you can, head over to X or Twitter and give this man a follow, because he's followed by Octaspace, Alephium, amongst other. Oh wow, that is. So
we actually have our own book. Now, what's really cool is if we go to where is it? Page 116, I believe it is. Let me just double check. Yep. So you can see here, and if I can just get this in, this is my chapter that I wrote in the book. So I actually have a guest chapter in this book. It was the biggest privilege I've ever been asked to do, right? It's not every day you get asked to write a chapter in a book, especially a book this thick.
Absolutely.
Right. So, and yeah, I'll cover his name, but my friend asked if I would sign a copy for him. So I actually, he shipped me a copy of the book and I signed it. So yeah, I'll send you one of these, my friend.
Brilliant, my friend. Thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about Rude's comment here about OnlyFans, but could they be deploying quantum computing?
Oh God, no, we're not going. No. We had a conversation about this recently, actually. About like AI and that sort of industry is a really dangerous concept. Really dangerous concept. So.
Thank you so much, Imbelta. People are thanking us. It's been absolutely brilliant. Can you believe Carter is actually a Spurs fan?
Oh my God.
So
oh my God. That's it, right? He owes me 500 Dynex then now.
What do you think of Tottenham? And yeah, no, amazing. This guy's the real deal.
I'd say we'll do this again soon, man. Like I enjoy coming on here. We have a great time. Like we've been sat now, what, nearly 3 hours we've been chatting away, like literally 3 hours, and we're still barely even scratched the surface. But like honestly,
Davey's asking about quantum computing again. I don't know if you see the comment on the screen. Brilliant ending to a brilliant day. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely welcome, man. And like I say, if Carter, you can send me an email to that email address. It's y3ti@y3ti.uk. I'll get you over your winnings, and congrats again.
Amazing, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and get some Dynex, because we really don't want you to miss the next potential 100x, and that gets used quite a lot. But I genuinely believe with this team's drive, with this man driving this team, and yeah, even some of your favorite projects following this guy. Alephium is there, Octaspace is there, Dynex is there. I mean, go give him a follow because you'll learn a lot. And have a beautiful weekend, guys. God bless you.
Yep.
Take care.
Take care.
Up the Arsenal.